solving equations involving absolute values. So an absolute value is the distance from 0. If we place it around x, it's saying what values of x have a distance from 0 that's 4. So if we put 0 on there and we count out 4, we get one answer, which is 4. 4 is a distance of 0 of 4. And if we go in the other direction, that's -1, -2, -3, -4 would also have a distance from 0 that is 4. And so you get two answers, one positive, one negative of that. The inside will always be a positive or a negative. And this is why absolute values always make a positive 4, because distance will always be positive. So if we ever end up with an absolute value of x equals -2, then we know the answer has to be no solution, because that's not possible. Because an absolute value will always equal a positive, not a negative. So we're going to be using this idea to solve all of the equations that we have for absolute values. So what we do is we know that the absolute value of x will equal one positive version of this number and one negative version. So that gives us, for this one, x plus 4 equals a positive version, and x plus 4 equals a negative version. And that's it. That's our equations that we get to solve. So if we subtract 4, we get x equals 3. Subtract 4, we get x equals -10. That's not 10, that's 11. -11. And those are our answers. How do we know they're true? We just have to check them. So if we plug them in, that's absolute value of 7 is 7. Checks. And then plug in the -11. It's -7. And it checks as well. Absolute value of -7 is 7. All right, so let's look at another one. So it's the same thing. -2x minus 3 equals 15. And then we also need the negative version. So -2x minus 3 could also be -15, and it would still work out. So it's always going to be two answers. So if we solve this by adding 3 to both sides, we get 18. And then divide by the -2, we get -9. And then we do the same exact thing over here. Divide by the -2, and we get 6. And then we still have to check it, and they check out. If you notice, the inside over here is giving us the positive, and the inside over here is giving us the negative. So that's the main idea. If we have this set up, then we know this inside has to equal either 15 or -15. That's the only way we're ever going to get a positive 15 after taking an absolute value. So let's look at these. These don't have that straight absolute value that we need. So what we have to do is isolate it. This right here needs to be isolated. And the only way to do that is to solve. So in order to get this all by itself, these two need to go away. So we need to subtract the 3. Divide by the -1 to get rid of it. And then there's our straight absolute value. And that's what we're always going for. Now we can solve. Not solve. So we take and say that inside could be 10, or that inside could be -10. And then solving it gives us 5 and -15. And we check it. And there's our answer. As you can see, it's always about this inside. We're trying to find out what number can this be in order to make -7. And that means this entire inside would have to be 10. And then solving that would give us our two answers. So let's have you try this one. If you get it, you're good. Hit pause and give it a try. And there's our answers, 12 and 2. And then plugging them in checks it out. And like I said, it's always about the absolute value. So if you notice, we're getting a positive inside and a negative inside, and then that absolute value turns it into a positive that we're looking for. All right, thank you.